It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 257. Thank you so much for being here. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He still one day hopes to grow an inch or two taller. Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Pat Flynn, and I'm so happy you're here, like I said earlier. And this episode is one of those episodes where when you hear this person's story, you are going to have your mouth wide open because you just couldn't believe what had happened, but also just the incredible breakthroughs that this person has had and going through everything that she went through to find success on the other end and pulling the courage out from somewhere just is amazing. And it really leaves no excuse for those of us who have these sort of small little struggles every day, right? Sometimes we need these big time stories to truly just bring us back to life, right? And bring perspective into our lives. So I'm very happy to introduce Kelsey Baldwin, who I actually first found out about in a video that was going around online. This is a video that was actually produced, I believe, by Brian Harris and his team over at videofruit.com. Brian's been on the show before. Incredibly smart guy, but incredibly talented too in storytelling and capturing moments on film. And when I heard Kelsey's story, I just even in the Facebook comments, I was like, Kelsey, I want to invite you on the show. I would love for you to share your story with the SPI audience and share with us how you were able to get through these tough times and find success with her company. And her company is a company that initially started selling things on Etsy, and she still does that too. And it's called Paper and Oats. And I can't wait for her to introduce herself and her company to you. So let's not wait any longer. Let's get right to it. Here's Kelsey Baldwin from paperandoats.com. Hey everybody, what's up? Thank you so much for joining me today. I am joined with Kelsey from Paper and Oats, which is an awesome website, and she's going to tell you all about it. But Kelsey, welcome to the SPA podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Pat. This is fun.
I'm so excited because I first heard about you and your story through a video through one of my good friends, Brian Harris. And that video, like with many other people, it is a tearjerker because you have this amazing story, how you've come out of these challenges and have built something incredible to become what is Paper and Oats and to build this business for yourself and your family. And I'd love for you to start at the beginning, even before Paper and Oats started. Were you always somebody who was into entrepreneurship, like when you were growing up and stuff?
Yeah, I think I always was. My dad was an entrepreneur. He ran his business out of the home. So I saw him growing up, working at home in his office and kind of making his own hours. So yeah, my brothers and I saw that growing up, and I think always wanted a little piece of that.
That's really cool. And then so when was your first taste of kind of trying entrepreneurship on your own?
Probably actually when I was in college. When I was a freshman in college, I tried my hand for the first time at freelancing, doing freelance design work. Just found ads on Craigslist before Craigslist was too creepy. And in their creative gigs section, I would just find people that needed design work, and I would offer to do it for free because I didn't really know what I was doing. So they couldn't be mad at me if it was bad. But that was kind of how I got my feet wet, working with clients and doing design work for people, that weren't just friends and family.
That's cool. And when you say design work, what does that mean exactly?
So I did graphic design, so like logos or business cards, anything that was printed. I didn't really dabble in web yet at that point. It was mostly just print design. That's
really cool. And did you have schooling experience for that, or what made you interested in freelancing for that specifically?
Yeah, I've always been pretty artistic, and I was studying in school at the time for graphic design. So I kind of knew I always wanted to own my own business. I didn't know what that would look like, but freelance was a good place to start, and it evolved a lot from there.
Was it easy for you to get started as a freelancer, or was it kind of, a little weird kind of putting yourself out there and getting clients who you don't even know who these people are? What's that experience like?
Yeah, it was weird. It felt kind of, I felt a little sneaky because I was a college student and they didn't know I was a college student, but I wasn't charging anything. So, it was it was tough, I think, to put yourself out there and it's kind of vulnerable to put your artwork, show your work to somebody else and have them, sometimes like it, sometimes not like it, and want you to change things about it. So that was a little tricky to get used to, but that's something you have to learn in that business.
And then at some point, did you eventually start getting paid for that work?
Yeah, so I slowly started charging something, and eventually charging more. And while I was in college, I started work at a design agency and worked there through the end of my college and after college for several years, and then kind of gradually phased out of that and into my own freelance work.
Cool. Tell me about your own freelance work and kind of that transition.
It was pretty gradual. It was they were kind enough at the agency to let me do freelance on the side. A lot of agencies don't let you do that. So I got to work with my own clients at the same time that I was getting a full-time income from them. So I kind of, my story, like you said in that video, a lot of it was kind of kickstarted, I guess, whenever my husband left. And so that was whenever I started to really try to find more freelance clients and try to build up that part of my business, knowing at the time that I was pregnant and that I was going to need to provide an income for a child that's coming in 9 months, whether I was ready or not. So that's kind of when I started to beef up the freelance and sort of gradually phase out and take fewer hours per week at my full-time job.
I've noticed that with a lot of entrepreneurs, we have a very specific moment in our past that really triggers the sort of entrepreneurial spirit in us. And I'll link to the video that I had mentioned earlier in the show notes for everybody. And you have to watch it. And side note, bring a box Kleenex with you. And if you don't mind, Kelsey, can I ask you a little bit more detail about that? Because it sounds like, and just for everybody, I know the story obviously, but for people listening who are just being introduced to you, so you had gotten married, and at some point when you had discovered that you were pregnant, your husband left.
Yeah, it actually, amazingly enough, all happened on the same day. So we were married for about 4.5 years at the time, and we're trying to start a family. And I basically just came home from work one day, and he said he didn't want to be married anymore, and gave no indication that was coming. We weren't having a bunch of problems before then or anything. So I was completely blindsided. And kind of after that conversation of him wanting to divorce, 30 minutes later, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. So
oh my gosh.
It was a pretty crazy day to say the least. But it kind of having a child grow inside of you really lights a fire. And I was already doing freelance at the time, and that really just kind of, ignited this passion in me to want to really work for myself once this child was here, knowing that I was going to be the sole provider for her. So that was a huge turning point in my life.
So I think a lot of people have also experienced that sort of fire, right? When something happens. And I'm curious how you were able to convert that fire and that kind of drive into actionable items. Because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. They really want it, right? Something happened in their past, or they just are tired of their jobs or something, but then they don't know what to do. And I think you have that experience. Like, what advice could you offer to somebody who has that fire but just doesn't know what to do next? Like, how did you know what to do next?
I certainly didn't have, this big plan laid out all of a sudden that I was going to, do this much freelance work and then quit my job at this point and then, do what I'm doing now with online courses and things like that. I think I just took one step at a time, and I knew, I learned a lot. I listened to your podcast. I read a lot of blogs and a lot of, ebooks and just different resources, anything I could get my hands on to really learn about online business and freelancing and how to find clients and how to market yourself through email and social media and blogging. And it was kind of this whole world of online business that I didn't really know existed before. So it was also, in that time of my life where my personal life was kind of exploding, it was a good distraction too, just to learn about something else and, dive headfirst into this online business world. So, I didn't have to constantly think about other things that were going on in my personal life. So it was a welcome distraction for sure.
And at that point, had you already started Paper and Oats? Was it called that, or was Paper and Oats something that came out of that?
I had paper notes before. It started out as just an Etsy shop. So that's where my business, its foundation really has begun and where it still is. And so paper notes was a shop that I started several years prior, just on Etsy, trying to sell different things, physical products mainly, and just trying my hand at different handmade things, and nothing was really working. It was just kind of a for fun on the side thing. And so once he left, I had a really passion to build that side of my business up a lot more, because it was, I had just a few months before that, I had just started selling these printable planners on there. And they had kind of exploded pretty quickly. And it was like kind of opened my mind to this world of passive income and digital products, and, you know, something I can make one time and sell it over and over without much extra effort. And so that was a part of my business that I wanted to really grow after he left, since I had already seen a little bit of success with it. But all of that was housed under paper notes. And then that kind of expanded into a website and freelance and kind of a conglomerate of other things.
Very cool. We'll talk about these printable planners. Like, what does that mean exactly? And also, how are they being delivered through Etsy?
So Etsy has their own system where they can deliver a digital product, like a PDF or any kind of file. They added that feature to their platform, which is mainly just for handmade physical products. But they added this digital component kind of around the time that I started selling digital products on there for that reason. You know, you list something on Etsy. Etsy works kind of like, I think of it a little bit like Pinterest, or, you know, it's like its own search engine a little bit. People go there specifically looking for, you know, crafty things or handmade gifts. And so it's a good place to start, I think, for a beginner, because there's already this built-in audience there. So, you know, you have your own shop on there and you can customize it to a certain extent, have products. And so when people order a planner, I have all of mine are kind of centered around organization and like household management. I have some that are for teachers, some for weddings, a lot of stuff for like babies and childcare. So they order that, and Etsy automatically sends them the file once their payment is made through Etsy, sends them that automatically. And so there's really not much work to be done on my part except for, you know, marketing and continually coming out with new products.
That's awesome. I didn't even realize Etsy did digital delivery of stuff, which is like kind of blowing my mind now, because you're right. There's millions of people that search for things every day. So these printable planners, how did people first discover them? Did they kind of take off on their own, and you just started to notice that more and more people were buying them? Or did you do any marketing to kind of get the word out there?
Yeah, well, I kind of stumbled upon them at first because I was looking for a product that I needed. I was trying to plan meals and pinch pennies and do like, you know, price matching at stores when I was grocery shopping. And so I would write down everything on a piece of paper, just kind of scratch notes for it. And I was wondering if on Etsy there was some kind of notepad or something where, you know, someone had already organized some kind of form that you could fill out each time you go to the grocery store to plan out your meals. So I went on there looking for that, and it kind of, you know, I just typed it into the search bar, and all these products came up of these printable planners, which I was like you at the same time. I didn't know that, you know, printable planners or digital products, like I didn't even know Etsy could deliver that, and I didn't know that was a thing. So I'm kind of like a nerd at heart, and I love designing like forms and cheat sheets and things like that, and like checklists. I just like to design that kind of thing. So I'm pretty organized by nature. So seeing like this type of product on Etsy where I was already at, and it was, you know, in this organization world, which I already personally was interested in and had kind of a passion for. And I just noticed kind of a gap in the market of what was on Etsy at the time. There weren't really any products that were designed like minimally or in my aesthetic, which is kind of a little more like sophisticated than what was already on Etsy, and a little cleaner and simpler and a little more practical. There was a lot of stuff with a lot of clip art all over it. And, you know, when you think about printing them, they take up a lot of ink because they've got all these pictures on them. Right. So I just wanted to design something that I liked and that was really different than what was already out there. And I think there were a lot of customers looking for that as well, because they, I mean, really within a month, I had made about $1,000 just from continually putting out these planners. I had maybe 10 or 15 that I started with, and they just grew in popularity pretty quickly.
That's so awesome. And how much are you charging for these kinds of things?
Most of them range from about $7 to maybe $20 or so.
$7 to $20. And so, wow. So after you found that after a month or so, you were making about a grand through this, when did it occur to you that this was like going to be your thing full time?
Probably when my husband left. They were making that much money for a few months before he left. And I kind of always felt like that extra income was for something and I was going to need it for something. And then he left and it was kind of obvious that, this is going to be my other income. Mm-hmm. I continued to build it up as I worked full time for that agency. And I was pregnant and single and had a lot of time on my hands. So I was, making in the evenings, making new things to add to my shop and just building it up. And so about when my daughter was about 6 months old, that income from my Etsy shop was pretty consistently making the same as what my full-time income was at the design agency. So I felt okay to start gradually from there, cutting back on the agency and pursuing more of this online business thing.
Was that hard for you to kind of transition? Because I know a lot of people who are doing well with their online stuff, but they're still hanging on to that 9-to-5 job because they feel it's more secure. Did you have any of those thoughts? Like, what am I doing? I'm like, this, who knows how long this is going to go for? Or were you like, I'm all in, let's make this work?
It was nerve-wracking for sure. That's why I kind of wanted to do it gradually and make it a peaceful transition, so to speak. So I could kind of, if it went terribly wrong, I could possibly go back and work at the agency. But it was scary being a single parent because I'm the only, provider for my daughter and I'm the only income that she has. So I feel like it was even more pressure to make sure that this worked and that it was going to be, have longevity to it and be consistent and not just, a fluke or something. So that's why I think it took me a while to decide to kind of start making the switch because I wanted to be sure it was being consistent from month to month.
Mm-hmm. I remember when my wife and I got pregnant, how much that drove me to do more work and be more efficient and all this stuff. And I'm sure the same thing happened for you, like you said. But then I remember when my son was born in 2009, he just took up all my time, and my wife's time. And so I'm curious to know how you were able to plan for your daughter to come, knowing that, she was obviously going to take time and you had this business that you were building and growing and scaling. Time management, how were you able to tackle that? And was it easy for you?
Some days it was easy, some days not. As I'm sure most parents would say, working with a kid at home. Mm-hmm. It was, in the beginning, honestly, newborns sleep a lot. So I was off work for about 12 weeks. So kind of the last half of that, I was antsy to start working again. I'm kind of a workaholic, I think. So I worked a lot during that maternity leave. That was some good focused time without having to worry about my full-time job, to put into the business and kind of practicing, I guess, working with a newborn at home. But you just kind of have to learn to get into a rhythm and figure out what schedule works for you. Even now, basically her whole life, I've worked mainly whenever she's sleeping. So during her nap time and after she goes to bed. I'm kind of a night owl anyway, so I work a lot late at night, whether I have a kid or not. So that part of her schedule kind of worked for me. But every season of, her life, her schedule's always changing and she's evolving. And so, I have to kind of adjust my business and work schedule around that. But it teaches you to be flexible and to just kind of go with the flow some days. And I think that's an important part of just staying positive through it all and not getting too down if you have a day where you don't get anything done or you don't, you get hung up on one thing that takes longer than you think, or you're distracted a lot or your kid's sick or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think just knowing that, a lot of things can wait. A lot of things maybe don't even have to be done for your business if you're kind of nitpicky about it, but just going with the flow and kind of taking what comes.
So in terms of the work schedule you have now, mine is very much similar to yours, except my kids are now a little bit older, so they're in school, so I use that time to work as well. Before it was only when they slept, because to try and work while they were awake, it was just a fight that I was never going to win, so I might as well not even try to fight it. But now, when you know that you're going to have time to work, do you know what you're going to do as you get into that work time, or do you kind of, like, how do you plan what to do to be as efficient as possible?
So I use a program called Asana, which I think a lot of people do, but it's like an online task manager, kind of project manager thing. It's built a lot for teams of people, but I mean, it works fine with just one person too. But I basically always have that tab open on my computer, and when I'm planning out, any kind of project I want to do for my business, I basically plan, make a task out of every single thing that I need to do for that. So if I'm going to create a new planner kit to add to my shop, then I'll have a task to, do research and to plan out what the pages are going to be. I'll have a task to actually design it. I'll have a task to make it. I make all my kits like fillable in a PDF previewer. So I have to do that part of the whole project. And then I have to list it in the shop and write the description. And then I have to plan out like social media to promote it. And so I basically make a task out of every single thing for the project. And I just drag and drop it all over my calendar so that it's kind of all out of my head and it's scheduled. Everything has a date. And as those dates get closer, if I need to move them around a little bit, I can. But it helps me just get everything out of my head and know that an entire project is covered start to finish on my calendar. And it helps me just wake up every morning, look at Asana, see what I have to do that day, do as much as I can. Some stuff gets pushed to the next day. Some stuff I push it every single week to the next week, and then eventually I just delete it. So it helps you kind of prioritize and helps you just know what's coming each day.
I love it. I knew you'd have a great answer being as organized as you are. So for everybody out there, one more time, that's Asana, Asana. And there's other tools like that. I think there's Noseby, there's Trello. Yeah. And you kind of have to, find the one that works for you. My team uses Trello for project management. And there's other people that use other ones too. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is how many of these printables are you coming out with, let's say, per month at this point?
This past year, I haven't come out with any new ones, actually. I just this past week, I came out with a new one. But the year before, so like 2014, 2015 is kind of when I really added a lot of what you see in my shop now. Mm-hmm. And then this past year, I've spent a lot of time creating some online courses. So that was kind of when I was feeling a little bit burnt out with freelance work. And so sort of phased that out of my business while I was creating a couple of online courses that did really well and kind of replaced that freelance income. So kind of an interesting way, I guess, that a lot of our businesses evolve just with the new technologies and new ways that people are learning. One thing kind of replaces an old thing.
Right. And it looks like you're teaching on stuff that you just already had known how to do anyway. Like I see a course here, Learn to Sell Digital on Etsy on Autopilot course now open, and then another one on Adobe InDesign, which is what I'm guessing you use to create these printables.
Yeah, so those are my two main courses. Yeah, just teaching how to use InDesign and then teaching how to sell digital products on Etsy. So there's a lot of Etsy courses in general out there, but this one focuses on just selling digital products, which is what I do. So
nice. And then, so was the Etsy one your first online course that you created?
The InDesign one was actually the first one that I created, and Etsy was the second one.
And what was that process like of creating the course? Because that's obviously very different than, coming up with a printable. This is a full-blown course. Walk us through the process of how you actually created that and then launched it.
Yeah, so towards like the end of me doing freelance work, a lot of the clients I was working with were creating their own digital products. So doing a lot of work on other people's online courses and creating PDFs and social graphics and websites and sales pages for all of those things for other people. So it kind of helped me see the inner workings of, what all goes into creating an online course, everything from the actual course to like the promotion side of it. And so that kind of got me interested in creating my own. And I did, again, a lot of reading of blogs and listening to podcasts, and just learning everything I could about online courses and what all goes into them. I learned a lot from Brian, who the video about me was created by Brian Harris. He has a lot of resources on his blog about just kind of case studies about himself of how he launched his course to his list, and really practical things of like how, what email he sent at what time to what people, and how, blogging about your topic ties into everything and helps you build your list. So I learned a lot of those types of things online, and just kind of just dove in and started, kind of learning as I go. InDesign was a program that I was in every day and I knew a lot about. And so it was something that a lot of people asked me about as well. So that's kind of the direction I chose to take it. And I did some beta testing to kind of validate the idea and make sure people were really interested in it, and have people go through the course before it was officially launched, so I could tweak it and really make it, have it be really practical for students who were actually going through it and who really didn't know InDesign. Mm-hmm. So that was really, really helpful. And then, launching it went really, really great. I launched it to a list of about, I think, around 1,000 people, and it sold about 20,000 on the first launch.
$20,000 worth.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was far beyond what I thought it would do. So I was a little shocked.
Congrats. How many? What was it going for at that time?
At the time, it was $299, so about $300.
Okay, so if I do the math correctly, which I'm going to cheat, so I'm going to do it on the computer really quick. So you sold like 66, 70 copies.
Yeah, it ended up being about 80. Part of those came from a bundle that I did with somebody else, so that was priced a little bit cheaper, but total was about 80 students.
See, that's not, when people hear that, they're like, oh, only 80. But you made 20 grand in your launch. So I think a lot of people think that you have to build something that, a million people get access to make a good living. And here you are with a very relatively small list and serving just a relatively small handful of people within that list, but still coming out very, very well. And of course, I'm sure now even more people have gone through that course and now your other one. So I'd love to get an overall picture of, how many people have gone through these courses and just overall how the business is going now. Going
great. I mean, after that launch is kind of when I was like, oh, this can replace freelance work, because I was getting a little burnout with clients. So since then, I've launched the InDesign course 2 more times, so a total of 3 times. Each one did about that same amount. And then the Etsy course I launched this past summer, and I launched it for about a week with like a special pricing for a week. And then I just made it evergreen after that, so people can buy it year round with a little bit of a higher price. And that one I offered 2 different options so that people could try out like a more basic version first if they wanted to, and then go on to the full version that was a little more expensive. And after the 3rd launch of my InDesign course, I made that one evergreen as well. So now both my courses are available year round. And that's pretty new, just in the last month or so. So it's kind of been interesting seeing how that works, and just planning a little differently for this next year of how I'm going to promote the courses now that they're available year round, and different things I need to do to keep that like urgency and keep that up so that people stay interested.
How are you planning to do that? I'd love to learn more, because I think the nice thing about opening and closing and opening again is like you get the scarcity. Hey, it's good. It's going to be, you won't be able to get it for a while, so get it now, and you can put special deals on there and stuff. But how are you planning to tackle this evergreen? First of all, why did you switch? And secondly, how are you going to tackle it?
I switched because I was getting a lot of emails, at least for the InDesign one. I was getting a lot of emails in between the launches of people saying that like they had just discovered me and they need to learn InDesign for a job or something, and can they go ahead and take the course even though it's not open. So it was fielding a lot of those types of questions, and just honestly kind of wanting to try something different. A year and a half, I guess, of open and closed launches and kind of those peaks and valleys of income. I just wanted to see how it would do at Evergreen. And so I kind of in any change like that, I feel like if I need to, I can go back to the other way of doing it, which was working obviously, but just wanted to try this one out. So
Totally.
for this next year to promote it, I'm not totally sure. That's going to be a lot of my like planning for the new year, which I haven't done yet. But just ways that I can maybe add bonus content to it for a limited amount of time, or bundle it with somebody else for a limited amount of time. So adding in kind of little time limits on certain things, even though it's available year round. I think that's kind of a general way right now of how I'm going to go forward from this point.
I like it. I love it. Going back to the sort of overall snapshot of your business right now, I'd love to know kind of, if you know in your head, the sort of percentage breakdown of what is bringing in the income. So you have your courses, and you have your printables, and you have, I don't know if you're still doing freelancing at this point, but I'd love to know kind of the percentage breakdown and what's work like. Give us the pie chart.
Yeah. The printables make up probably about a third of my income pretty consistently. And then I don't do any more freelance right now. So my 2 online courses are kind of the only other source of income, and that's about the other 2/3.
Very nice. Kelsey, there's so much I want to unpack here, but I know that a lot of people have already gotten a ton of inspiration from this. I'd love to ask you a couple more questions just based on mindset, because I think what's really incredible about your story is you had this incredibly huge setback. I think for people, they couldn't even imagine what life would have been like when your husband had left the same day that you learned that you were going to be pregnant. I think that would just really put people in a place where they know they would need to go back to like a 9 to 5, for example. Yet you went the other way and are still going strong and still growing and still scaling, still trying new things. What advice would you have for people who are going through tough times in their life right now, who really need to, just some energy to push forward in the direction where they know they want to go, but may not have the energy to do so at this time? What would you say to them?
I think just keep going. I mean, it was certainly hard in my case to get up the next morning and go back to work and keep moving forward. But, I think just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and not becoming paralyzed by all the information and, learning about all the different things that go into running a business. It can be really overwhelming. And so I think just taking, one thing at a time that you're going to work on, focusing on that, not worrying about anything else that's coming down the road, but just doing that one thing at a time, whether it's creating your website and just focusing on that. And once that's done, then maybe you can worry about blogging and figuring out a schedule for that and what you're going to write about. And once you feel like you have that down, you can, maybe dive more into one of the social media platforms and work on marketing yourself there. So I think just sometimes we see people like you, Pat, or anybody else that has, a lot of different pieces of their business that make up the whole. And it can be really overwhelming. How can I, if I'm starting at nothing, how am I going to do all these things all at once? I think it's helpful to just take it one step at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. I'd say most of us are figuring it out as we go. So just, don't feel like you need to do it all at once.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. You rock, and you're such an inspiration. If you could share with us where we can go and find out more information about you and maybe point us toward your store, that would be awesome.
Yeah, at paperandoats.com is where everything that I do is housed. I also had a special deal for the SPI listeners if you want. At paperandoats.com/SPI, you can take the first lesson of that Etsy on Autopilot course for free if you're interested in that.
Sweet. I know people are going to get access to that. So what was that URL one more time?
paperandoats.com/SPI.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. We appreciate you. Keep on going because you're doing amazing things. And we look forward to maybe a follow-up story from you in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Hey, Kelsey, thank you so much for being here. And it was just such a pleasure to speak to you, and very, very encouraging and absolutely motivating. And seriously, thank you so much. For those of you who are listening, if you want to get all the links to Kelsey's stuff and everything we talked about, just head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session257. And like she mentioned there at the end, you can actually go and check out the first module, I think, or the first lesson of her Etsy on Autopilot course. If you are selling anything on Etsy or plan to, even if you're not actually, there's some really good information in there. Just head on over to paperandoats.com/SPI. And there's a little thank you page there, and you can sign up really quick to get started on lesson 1 and see what that's about. But also, just thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please leave your comments over on the blog. Again, that can be done, and the show notes are at smartpassiveincome.com/session257. Guys, I've really been enjoying this podcast, and I will continue to do it in the future for you. I know a lot of you have taken the information that I've shared here, the interviews that we've done with other experts and other people, and have actually taken action with it. And I just love you for that. I'm so thankful that I have an audience who is actually not just learning, but learning and putting things into place to make change in their lives and the lives of others too. I mean, we're all here to serve other people, I hope. But I know a lot of you also need a little bit more help. I've been getting messages left and right from people who have been asking for more and deeper information about certain things. So what I've done is I've actually put together a number of courses, and there's more courses coming in the future, thanks to your recommendations. If you go to smartpassiveincome.com/courses, you'll see a list of the courses that are currently available there or that you can sign up for the waitlist for. Again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/courses. Check it out. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode, where we are actually going to be talking with another person about productivity. We're kind of taking a break from productivity over the last week or so because we've been talking a lot about it. We had an interview with Cal Newport in episode 255, and then talked to Mike Vardy in 256. And then next week, we're going to talk with somebody who has some really interesting takes on productivity as well. And that'll be the sort of cherry on top in Productivity Month here on SPI. So thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you and speaking to you next week. Until then, keep moving forward, keep getting inspired. And Kelsey, I know you listen to the show. Thank you so much for your time and your story and just how awesome you are. Cheers. Take care. See y'all later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips? Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.